Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Today's third installment is the Duggars. Last night, Counting On was on with 2 episodes, but I'm not going to do a recap because they're such boring episodes. I'm not going to lie. Okay, but there was some really exciting news in this video, or in this episode, because Bunk Bed Jed and Jeremiah, his twin brother, moved out of the house into a bachelor pad. Okay. Let me just clear my voice here and just take a minute. Bunk Bed Jed, Jeremiah, they're 21 years old. Bunk Bed Jed is actually he's actually running for office. So he is running to be a state house representative in the state of Arkansas. And he is running for the Republican Party. I don't know who the Democrat that he is running against, but he ran unopposed for the primaries, so he should be on the ballot in November. And part of that is that he has to live in his own address. So if he was going to run to be in office, he cannot actually live with mom and dad. He has to have his own address that he pays bills at, and he has to be like an upstanding citizen, that kind of stuff. So Jed actually owns a co-owns a car lot with his dad where he sells used cars. And then he was actually, someone just told me they saw him selling a car to the Stewart family over the weekend. They were in town visiting Joy and Austin and the families. Anyways, so he runs the car lot. He's running for office, and he has no college education, FYI, but he and his brother actually bought a house. So here's the thing. The episode actually started out with them going to the Bahamas. So there was this humongous controversy way back when this happened last fall. They have this company called MedCorp, which they claim that it's a nonprofit, but it hasn't received nonprofit status. And they went down to the Bahamas, and they were apparently supposed to be helping to distribute needed resources after this massive hurricane. And there was actually a lot of controversy because they were allegedly siphoning off fuel from other planes. They were sort of commandeering the products and taking them, and they just weren't playing nice, I guess. There was a lot of complaints over on Facebook. Again, allegedly, they were also traveling around with arms and badges, which people thought was weird because they were just like volunteers. But anyways, that's the shady side of things. And then they go to the house. So they go to this new house, which is hilarious. And this is you walk into the house, and this is what it looks like. So can't make this up, you guys. Cannot make this up. They have a ping pong table right in the front there. And then as you continue into the house, this is the 2 of them. So they are twin brothers. Now, they say that they're going to get some actual furniture, but for right now, it's going to be a ping pong table in the living room. And they have a tiled floor. It's actually not a super large house. Their kitchen, which is, a standard kitchen for any, a bachelor, nothing to write home about. And they say that there's room for a small, table for them to have their families over. And then this is the part that I thought was hilarious. They have a 3-bedroom house, and they're sharing a bedroom, and they're having twin beds next to each other. So they have upgraded from bunk beds to twin beds that are side by side. And they said that when they lived at the house, they just slept next to each other anyway. So they might as well just sleep next to each other in their house. And so they are sharing this tiny little room with tiny little beds. But the funny part is that as they're going through the house and they're showing them around, this is sort of the funny part. They have bunk beds in the spare room. So they have a spare room set up, and the whole thing is Bunk Bed Jed is because he and his brother shared a bunk bed, and all of the boys and kids share these big bedrooms in the upstairs at the big house, and they sleep on bunk beds. And Bunk Bed Jed has just become sort of this funny gif for him for having a bunk bed and running for office and all of that stuff. So it's funny that Bunk Bed Jed would bring the bunk beds to the new house and then share a bedroom with his brother and then bring the bunk beds there. So he could have a bigger bed because those the lower level one looks to be more like a full-sized, but they're sharing a small bed. And they actually end up having Joe and Josiah over for dinner, who bring them a yard game, and then they also bring them some gross, like nasty lawn chairs for furniture for inside of the house, and then they make burgers. So this is everything that happens inside of the house, and then they have this dinner, and basically Jed and Jeremiah say that they're not very good cooks because they don't have a woman to teach them how to cook. Yikes. And that Josiah and Joe know how to cook because they have wives that have taught them how to cook. I didn't know that you had to have a wife teach you how to cook, but again, this is the 1930s and this is the Duggars. So they have burgers and fries and cupcakes that the boys bring over, and they eat around that ping pong table. Now, notably in this episode, they ask Mom and Dad Duggar about whether or not it's typical for the kids to move out and if anyone else has ever moved out before without being married. Now, the boys say that Joe at one point moved out for school, but he was still back at the house when he was out of school. That John at one point actually moved out before he was married, but everyone else otherwise has stayed at home before they got married. But for them, they've decided that this is what they want to do. They want to live away from home, but they also admit that since they're such bad cooks, they go back to the house constantly to eat. So it's like they're sort of moved out, but they're not really moved out. And Jed actually posts a lot on Instagram where he's actually at the house and he's hanging out with his siblings. So the house must not be very far from where they are. My guess is the house was one of Jim's many homes that he flips to the kids as a gift. Because remember, Derek says that he doesn't actually give the kids money for like anything, but he will like gift them a home, deed it for $10, $12. They did this with Joy and Austin. They did it for $1. Jessa and Ben got theirs for $10. And so that's sort of how they do it, is like, you aren't going to get paid, but here's a free house for you guys to live in, kind of thing. So it might have been one of those, because the house looks like it could have been one of Jim's many houses. He owns a lot of houses and he rents them out. He flips them. He's got that business. So now they asked the Duggars about whether or not other kids moved out. And they're like, well, you know, we allow our kids to move out, but you know, some decide to stay, like Jana. She's running our house. No, just kidding. She did not say that. Jim Bob says that, you know, they give the kids the option to move out. Right, Jim. But that most of the kids prefer to stay in their houses with Mom and Dad until they get married, because, you know, it allows them to save money for when they get married and they're all set financially. Sure, Jim, we believe you. What's that? Like, you're telling me that Jana could move out right now. You're saying Jana could leave if she wanted to? Right. Run, Jana, run! Seriously, run! She's not going to move out. So, you know, they're talking about how they only have 10 kids left at home. Only 10 kids, which is still way more kids than the average family has times 5. I think the average family has like 2 kids. So they still have 5 times the family in their house, but they say their family has actually expanded and grown because they have, you know, so many grandkids and significant others and spouses and son-in-laws and daughters-in-laws, and like their family is enormous now. So they basically say any kid can move out if they want, but most kids don't, and they're just very excited. And, you know, they say, like, what would you give for bachelors? And she was just like, Michelle's like, I'd give them trash cans. and then Jim's like, I'd get them room deodorizers, because, you know, guys stink. Guys that age kind of smell like dirty feet and Doritos. I'm not kidding. It's kind of true. Prove me wrong. That's a joke in our house, actually, because my husband said that he always smelled like dirty feet and Doritos when he was that age. So Jim would give them room deodorizers and she would give them trash cans because they're messes. So they are not good cooks because they need wives to do that, apparently. Josiah and Joe are great cooks. They have they have this shady company that goes down to the Bahamas. Jessa, she and Ben went and visited some friends. That was really it. I'm, again, not going to do a full breakdown. And tomorrow we'll talk about Jill's activewear, because Jill was promoting a modest line for swimwear on her Instagram. And it was like, in one breath, you're like, yay, Jill, for like breaking free. And yet still some habits die hard, because these swimsuits were, whew. I'm not like, these are the swimsuits that the Duggars were really into. And they cover everything so that you can still go swimming without being like defrauding anyone. So Jill was promoting these through one of the companies. I mean, they were cute, at least not super big, not overwhelmingly large, but some were like full pants. So we'll go into those and talk through some of the modest swimwear that the Duggars wear. So that's what we have for now. Tell me what your thoughts are. Is it hilarious that Bunk Bed Jed moved into a house and is sharing a bedroom with his brother in twin beds, but then they moved the bunk bed in? It's like the perfect ending for this. Bunk Bed Jed moves into a house with bunk beds. Do you think he sleeps in the bunk beds? Do you think if him and Jer have like a tiff, do you think like he's like, Jer, go sleep in the bunk beds? Now, but P.S., they say neither one of them are courting and neither one of them have girlfriends, but, you know, they are waiting for the Mrs. Right to come along. All right, you guys, are they courting? Do they sleep on the bunk beds? And is it odd that they're sharing a bedroom with twin beds? Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.